This is homesteading successfully with carrots. How do you grow carrots? They're some of the harder things to grow, not because they don't want to grow, just because they take a lot of care. A lot of people say, I've tried carrots many times, they just never work for me. So here's the few tips that I have. First of all, prepare the soil ahead. Water multiple days ahead, because carrots are shallow rooted and they're a tiny seed. And then plant them, preferably when there's going to be rain, really. And when you plant them, don't broadcast them like the package says. Make a tiny little row, just a little scratched out row, and then plant the seeds along. Water them frequently. That's one of the keys to carrots. Even twice a day when they're little seedlings or when they're still seeds, so that you're keeping that soil moist. And the second thing with carrots is weed often. Weed early and weed often. So as soon as the first leaves are up, if you can, get in there, find your carrots. If you do them in little rows, if you find one carrot, you've found the row of carrots. See? And so therefore you can weed on either side of it pretty safely and plant them carrots width apart. So then your first weeding, it's just kind of a cursory weeding. You can see I've still got a bunch of weeds in here, and that's because not all the carrots are done coming up. So I'll weed along on this little row here, and then I'll stop because somewhere along here is going to be more carrots that maybe haven't come up yet. And I'll come back to that later on. Now I can do some cursory weedings of just grab hold of just the tips of the weed and pull it, so that's not disturbing the soil too much. But the second thing with carrots is to frequently fertilize them. So you want to fertilize them, every couple weeks, faithfully. I use manure tea with our goat and rabbit manure. But one thing is that one of the complaints, of course, is that you can't see them to weed them. And you need to weed them just as often as you basically can in order to have a successful carrot. So this is a black nebula carrot. Look how large that is. That is one thing I would tell somebody that's discouraged about carrots. Also, it's got a black base already, which is cool. So see how big that is? This is first leaves. Now I'll show you a standard carrot. And that's not quite as discouraging to weed. So let's find one here. Here's one right here. Look how small that is compared to the black nebula. So if you want to try carrots, maybe try something like the black nebula that's larger from the get-go. And later on, thin them. Don't forget to thin them, because otherwise you limit the potential of the plant. Don't thin them to the point that the package says, because they're always err on the side of caution. Thin them to a carrot's width apart. How big do you expect this carrot to get? We expect ours to get, a couple inches across or something like that. Otherwise, they're not useful for canning. And then later on, it's a wonderful product to can. Now, why grow carrots? They're cheap enough. That's what some people will say. Store-bought carrots do not have the flavor that homegrown carrots have. Homegrown carrots have also the reputation of deformity, but that just kind of comes with the territory. That can be whether the soil is rocky or not, because we don't have any rocks. We have sand. And then we've got the goat manure. So this has been homesteading successfully with carrots. I would recommend that you all try, even if you think that you will fail. It's a fun experience. It can be frustrating, but it's highly rewarding.